Clock, I will call the meeting to order. Damon, you have the roll. We can all rise for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First, we have a mayoral proclamation to make about the 100% graduation rate.
Oh, okay,
John, unless you would like to make a little bit of a statement first,
I would.
then I can,
I appreciate that. Could
You
you
go
let
ahead.
me there?
you can do it right from there. That's fine.
Okay, yeah, well, first of all, I had a new system of organizing my meetings. And I put your name on the agenda for a couple of times. But one thing about that, my organizational chart, you have to look at it now and then. I didn't look at it, so I apologize, Christina and Chairman, for missing a couple. I don't do that, but I'm sorry I missed it. Well, it'd be nice if I could come here one time in the not too distant future and say, you know, because of your mindfulness and your support, we have 100% graduation rate. And the first city to do it is Blackduck. Well, that would be really terrific. And I think really, we should do it. We can do it. When I first started this project in 2017, I was asking the question, can we do it? But I think the more important question is should we do it? And if you ask that question, should we have 100% graduation rate? The answer, of course, we should have. And the reason why is because there's a lot of reasons why, but one of the reasons why is that when you have a high school diploma, you're more likely to live longer. Think of it, you're more likely to live longer. Secondly, you're less likely to use drugs if you have a high school diploma. And last year I did a little research study on that, and it showed pretty emphatically that people who have a high school diploma are less likely to use drugs. Thirdly, that we're less people, there'll be fewer people on public assistance, which means that we can have more money in our tax rates. And something that you should know and appreciate is that people are more likely to vote if they have a high school diploma. So, and there's a myriad of other reasons too why that. And so every once in a while I come to the city council meetings and talk about what we're doing and give you an update. Christine, here's a recent graduation rates for area schools. Blackduck is around 80%, which is better than some of the other schools in the area. But we're still missing the boat. And when this project was first organized, it was to be a community project and not a education project. So it's definitely a community. And the reason why is because as a public school educator, we tried for years and years and years to graduate 100% of our students, so we didn't do it. I think the reason was because we didn't have the community involved, so this is, and so we need to involve the community in this, and that's what we're doing. One of the things that you could do, and I'll hand out this brochure too, here, this brochure here tells you that, it's for parents, teachers, citizens, and students, what each of them can do to achieve this goal of 100% graduation rate. And one of the things that you could do is it'd be nice if Blackduck would have a group of people, 3 or 4 people, that would believe in this 100%, and that I could maybe certainly help, but would help to spread the word. And the whole idea is to help people have a mindset to graduate, and that's why you graduated, because you had a mindset to graduate. I had a mindset to graduate. Kids that don't have a graduate don't have a mindset to graduate. And the reason they don't, because they haven't put it in their brain yet. Either the parents haven't done it, the teachers haven't done it, the community hasn't done it. So that's the whole idea. So it'd be nice if there was a group in Blackduck, and that'd be certainly willing to help organize that or get them involved and so on. Last thing I'll say is that just to do something more overt, we started a dropout prevention hotline in March of this year, and this hotline is open 5 to 10 o'clock every evening, 7 days a week. We have volunteers on the phone, and any student or teachers or citizens or parents could call this hotline and get some advice about what they can do to help their students that are struggling. And it's just another resource. As far as we know, this is the only hotline in the area in the United States that deals specifically with dropout prevention. And so we're still trying to get the word out on that. It's been on the radio and on the television, like in public TV and newspaper, but we're still trying to spread the word. This past week, I dropped a bunch of bookmarks out to the high school here too, and to pass out to students. So anyway, when people ask me, they said, well, John, how are we doing with the project? I said, well, I always say that the glass is half full, because you never know when someone will see a flyer or a poster or a bookmark or hear somebody talk about graduation, and that influence that individual to stay in school and graduate. You just never know. So it's a work in progress, but I really believe that if we had the support of everybody, and Beltrami County, we can get the job done. So we're glad to entertain any questions you have. I'm not a good fisherman, so I can't answer your questions about open day, I'll be out there. I don't know if I'll catch anything. I'll be out there.
I have one question.
Yeah.
For you, and that is, where do you start counting? Well, at what percentage point?
Yeah.
What grade?
9th grade.
9th grade?
9th grade. So for example, if Blackduck has 50 kids in 9th grade, if all those 50 kids graduate 4 years later, that's 100%.
Okay.
Graduation rate. So that's how the state has every school figured out. Now, one of the flaws in that, and your principal and superintendents will tell you this too, is that if a person leaves Blackduck school, let's say in 10th grade, that student is still counted on their roll. And so they have to somehow account for that student. Sometimes they don't. And so if they can't account for that student, then that goes to mark against them. So it's kind of administrators really don't like that. I can see why, because they can't be responsible for that student. If that student drops out of school, well, he wasn't even here, but still they have to take credit for that. So that's the way it is right now. But it's done that way across the board throughout Minnesota. So it's the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then at this time, I will read this mayoral
I
proclamation.
have one statement.
Did you?
Yeah.
No, I think it's very fine that we're doing this. You mentioned a very good statistic, a sobering statistic, and that is that people who graduate have a higher survival rate
Yes.
than people that don't.
Yes.
I was just going to say that 2 people from my class back many years ago did not graduate. We were informed very shortly that they were no longer with us. So it's a very real statistic. Within a few years, they have
Yeah.
accidentally become not with us. So
And the reason why, another reason why that graduation is so important is because kids who graduate, they're more likely to have a dream and they're more likely to have something to look forward to in their future. Kids that don't graduate, they have so many other issues that face them, they really can't have this dream that we all have, either going to college, having a job, opening up a business, getting married. There's just too many issues that confound them, and it's really a shame. If you get the Midget Pioneer, my article in this weekend's paper is on wasted lives. You look in the paper, you read the news, so many young people, they just, they either get killed earlier, they die earlier, parents abuse them, whatever, but there's far too many wasted lives.
Anything else? Then, as mayor of the city of Blackduck, Minnesota, I, Maxwell Gillette, proclaim May 6, 2024, 100% graduation day in the city of Blackduck. Whereas the city council of the city of Blackduck, Minnesota has determined that a goal of 100% graduation rate is beneficial to all concerned. And whereas the city council of the city of Blackduck, Minnesota will do whatever it can to encourage all of our youth to graduate from high school. And whereas the city council of the city of Blackduck, Minnesota believe when we as a community relentlessly remind our young people how important it is to obtain their high school diploma, we can achieve our goal of a 100% graduation rate. Therefore, be it resolved that the city council of the city of Blackduck, Minnesota salute the Blackduck 2024 senior high graduating class. And we thank all the citizens for participating in this initiative. Proudly proclaimed the 6th day of May, 2024.
Well, that's beautiful. That is fantastic.
Thank you.
You want to
I really
remember?
appreciate that. I really do, Max. Thank you very much.
You want a picture?
Up
Thank
to you.
Nicholas. Appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, want everybody
Thank you.
together?
That's
Thank
fine.
you very
Thank
much.
you.
Why not?
Okay.
So do you want to
Yes.
stand
Huh?
and get a picture of you with the whole
All
family
right.
as I stand in front of TV screen? Nick, you gotta go back closer to Ron or the other side. There we go. A little further. All I see is your head.
All
Come on, buddy.
right.
That's better. Thank you, everyone. Fantastic.
Thank
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 you.
you, Don.
Yeah. Don't send me a copy of that.
I'd be happy to.
Thanks very
You
much.
bet.
Thanks you.
Very well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Made my day.
Don't be kind of skip the approving part.
And I gave you guys a printed 3-page document from Arvig.
Yep.
I'd like to add that under me, so 7G, could add that to 7G, please.
You betcha. I will move that we approve this evening's agenda with the addition of item 7G.
Second that.
All those in favor?
I
Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. All items on the consent agenda will be passed in one council motion unless there is something we need to remove for further discussion. You got something,
Yeah, I got C, D, F, and I.
Miles? Okay. We need a motion to approve the consent agenda minus the items C, D, F, and I.
motion to approve the consent agenda, removing C, D, F, and I.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Don. To item C.
So I was reading through this, and from the last meeting, from Christina's report, so Christina, you said that you were gonna try to get if they get plans and figure it out for the library. You were gonna try to get it on the levy for the 25 budget.
That was a suggestion to them. It really depended upon the process with requesting a feasibility study and what other things it could cost. That was my suggestion to them. It wouldn't happen this year. They were all hoping that there would be some remodeling this year. There was no money put into the levy for 24 Dons, so that's why that conversation shows up in the minutes that way.
I was just kind of
Yeah.
reading it and kind of questioning it and
Sure.
thought I was just gonna bring it up because.
Yep. I think part of that feedback was, when I told you guys at the work session, that we discussed how the process worked. Part of it circled back to what we did to take care of the front steps and the railing in last year's budget. And they needed to also understand when we do our budget and for what year it would be. So I said, that's the earliest anything could happen.
Well, that's what I was reading.
But yeah, I mean, and they're taking their notes obviously different than I could.
Well, as I was reading it, I was like,
Sure,
I need to question this.
that's
because,
fine.
Um,
Yeah, obviously,
Where-
we haven't started the budget yet.
where is the money coming from, or,
Right,
you know,
right.
that's
Okay,
that's why I questioned.
that's fine.
So. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
All right,
Item D,
so on the planning commission meeting. So this has to do with that. Building over on 415 Second Avenue. So. When the permit got issued for this, did anybody know what they were gonna use the building for?
No,
Isn't that? These are just questions.
so one of the things I can circle back from is it's important for everybody to understand that the city doesn't issue building permits. We issue land use permits. So if the nature of the building is within the confines of the zone and it was applied as a garage, then, does it fit the residential zone? Yes. And that's how it was issued.
So a 56 by 80-foot building fits the definition of a garage in a residential zone when there's no house there.
You can put a garage on any residential zone.
Regardless of whether there's a house there.
A lot of people start in a garage and work their way up to a house. I've seen that hundreds of times in this area. I don't know this particular piece, but I mean, it's not uncommon for somebody to build a garage to build a house. Store their tools and as a house. Not saying that's what this is, that's.
So. Circle back on this, it just kind of. Seems like. Out of place, and now to find out what it's being used for is kind of. Completely wrong. I mean. For city, the use of the building, I mean, it's not a garage.
I think everybody on the planning commission would agree with you.
but the technical stipulation on this is that if it's built as a garage, and that's technically what it is, we can't say what someone's doing inside their garage, as long as they're not, as long as it's not like a commercial kind of thing, so.
When you say commercial kind of thing, are you saying sign that says this is so-and-so's business? Or
No, I
commercial
would say
retail?
that if you're making money from inside of that building. Like a retail, or you're charging people to use it.
So if I'm using it as to store my woodworking equipment that I make money on, that's okay. I'm just trying to
I
define,
couldn't see why not.
okay. So if I'm housing it for equipment that I rent out or I use in a business and charge money for it, it's housing equipment in a garage. Is that what am I understanding
Yep.
that correctly?
It would still be in a garage.
Okay. Even though I'm making money off that equipment, that is still a housing for, as a garage.
Right.
Okay. And what is this being used for?
Batting cage.
A batting cage, okay.
It just kind of struck me wrong.
So are you
That's why-
charging admission for this? Pardon?
To my knowledge, no.
Oh, okay.
Just,
Now, I would just like to say that I agree with Councilor Johnson's observation. It's odd. Residential area, they go with a 56 by 80 foot high steel building, where there is no residence. The builders of the building live in a very nice residence elsewhere, not to be relocating there. It would have been nice, I think, to consult the neighborhood, the adjoining property owners. So I just say, I share John's opinion. Don's opinion.
Do you have anything else on this?
Do we want to see something change in language in the future so that we don't have this oddity come up? Is that something that?
I believe your planning commission has already made that quite clear.
Okay,
That discussion was in this meeting as to the authority and the leniency to the planning administrator. So that will unfortunately go forward on that board
okay.
as to the responsibility of what gets approved and what does not.
It will slow things up a bit. Okay. Don, if there's nothing else on that one?
I read it, I questioned it, and I just wanted to see if I get some answers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, public words. So. On this, we haven't heard anything about this equipment thing, and I was kind of curious if we had any more information for the council on this.
Not since this meeting, no. I'm still working on it.
You have a fine.
Yep, item Y.
You can go with it.
Park. Oh, it's L, excuse me. L.
L what?
It's not I, it's L. Right.
Didn't remove L, but. I guess it's only
Technically, no, we didn't.
no one has a problem. We can most certainly report on it. That would
Let's
be
make
the,
a formal motion, Christina, so.
well, you have to approve what you removed.
Mhm.
And then if Dawn wishes to discuss L, you should make an additional motion to discuss L.
Okay. So at this time, I'll make a motion to approve items C, D, F, and I. on the consent agenda. Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Although it's a little unusual. We'll go back to the consent agenda, even though it's approved. We will take out item L. For a little discussion on it.
I'm fine with that as long as it's approved.
It's approved,
I can comment on questions then.
okay?
I was just kind of curious why there was a transfer from the golf course for the 10,500 for that. Is that for that mower?
Yes.
Pine Tree Park, why the park is paying for it? I don't-
Because the park pays for the mower to begin with.
Oh.
So the mower that they're purchasing came from 209. That fund,
For the golf course.
correct.
Okay.
So the original mower that they're getting, when it was purchased in 23, was purchased out of the Country Park Fund.
This is the one from the public works.
It is,
Oh, okay,
but that's all wrapped up together
Okay,
because
all
they,
right.
yeah,
okay,
but the funds itself came out of 209.
okay, all right,
So the funds are going back to 209 so it can get repurchased.
okay. Thank you.
Yep,
You're done
Good.
with the consent agenda discussion over. This time, if there's anyone who speak to the Blackduck Forum.
Other question, Mr. Mayor, John Conkey, 396 Summit Avenue here in Blackduck. So the discussion, I think if I remember correctly, at your last city council meeting, or maybe the one prior to that, or work session, I don't recall exactly, was regarding a feasibility study for City Hall. Correct? And it was right around $9,200 for that study. Somewhere in there. So you're talking now about having another feasibility study for the library. What's that gonna cost?
that's on the agenda to discuss.
Okay, so can the public discuss or have comment during that time, or is this just the time that you can discuss things?
Your Black Duck Forum is only for you to address the council without any approval of anything you're requesting, John.
All right, thank you. So what's the return investment then? Because you just put up a public safety building / public works building. Was what City Hall discussed? Put City Hall out there? And if
No,
not, why not?
Yes, it was.
Okay,
wasn't.
And the reason it was because at the time, the council wanted City Hall to remain downtown.
Yeah, it was the center. Center of town.
knowing that this building needed to be either updated or needed to be out of this building for whatever the circumstances are that you're looking at doing a feasibility study now. In a building that just opened last year, correct?
I don't understand your question.
So you're doing a feasibility study for City Hall, correct?
Yes,
Okay. Your public works building just opened up last year, correct?
yes.
Okay, now you're going to do a public feasibility study for City Hall. When you're saying it was already addressed that they did not want to do anything with City Hall because the council and the mayor decided not to. But all of a sudden now, the needs need to be addressed for this facility.
No, I do not believe that's the way it transpired. No. That
I didn't
was-
live, I apologize, I didn't live here then, so I don't know the background of it.
Right,
I'm just trying to understand, when you had the opportunity to put City Hall in that facility, why you wouldn't have done that, knowing that this building likely would have to be either vacated or something would have to be done with it. You obviously have issues that were discussed during your meeting, correct? That need to be addressed or identified.
At that time, no.
So what's the return investment then?
I'm not prepared to give you that answer.
I couldn't tell you.
Because $10,000 in the budget, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anyone else for the Black Duck Forum? Seeing none, we'll move to the reports of committees and staff. First up. I'm always first.
I don't have the agenda in front of me, but I believe Christina put something on there in regards to the recycling over there. I actually got an email from him today. Everybody's on board. Thanks, Shauna. Everybody's on board, between the city here and, the county for moving forward with that. I was able to get a little bit of clarification from them. They're gonna be looking for a 20-year lease from us, essentially, stating that we have no plan to kick them out of there, that they can continue to have the compactor there. Part of the reason for that is, I believe, my understanding is this is going to be a brand new machine they're gonna be bringing in. And they're also going to put the power to it. Any updating, upgrading to the site that's necessary, they're gonna take care of that. And they're also going to provide the screening that this council requested be in the area. So I'm just kind of relaying where they're at. It seems to be moving kind of slowly through their different committees and subcommittees and all that stuff. So at some point we'll have to, and I asked him, my understanding from this council is that would be the county's burden essentially to come up with that lease agreement that would go forth there. So at this point, we're just gonna be waiting until we see that out there. And as soon as I do, I will let you know.
20 years, huh?
20 years, which, I don't know what the cost of one of those recycling compactors is. Sure, it's not cheap to buy a brand new one, have, dedicated power trenched over there, site upgrades, all that. It's an investment for them. I don't see any reason that we wouldn't do that.
Does the placement of it obstruct anything for you guys?
So when I got the email today, actually, I reached out to him and told him that I think we need to, we have a generalized idea of where they would like it, where I would like it. We're all kind of on the same page with it. But in my talkings with him, I invited him to come up with measurements. Let's, trace it out. Let's lay some paint down, see exactly where it's gonna sit, how it's gonna sit, what the screening will look like, and kind of go from there.
That'd be nice.
So, yeah, that's kind of where we sit on all of that right now. Just to update everybody on that.
I think 20 years is a long time.
It does seem like a while, but
If it was a abandoned area of town, I guess that's one thing I think we just need to keep in mind. We've got two apparently new businesses, recent businesses on opposite corners there. We have the old Public Works building, whatever.
correct.
Driving
But
repair business.
you should keep in mind too, that is a area where we deposit all the snow from around town. So I highly doubt, I would highly hope that we would never be looking to get rid of that property. The firemen also train over on that lot.
Mhm.
So to me, a 20-year lease over there, it's kind of a no-brainer, no big deal. I don't see why we would ever change anything with that area right there. And again, that's up to you guys, what you want to do there, but
Yeah, I think we should keep in mind, like I said, we have two businesses that repair and then what's going on in the old lumber yard there, I don't know, but it looks pretty nice. It's.
Yeah,
it's looked in-
they shaped that building up real nice over
It's
there.
just looked in the last 75 years. It looks great and I hope they're successful.
Mhm.
So at least the other two corners, the north, the two corners are hopefully thriving businesses. We should keep that in mind.
But if they're gonna put power in there and put concrete down and everything, and it's worth.
Yeah, streaming.
Yeah, screened in fencing, it'll make it look a lot nicer. It's good days right now.
Mhm.
Whether people, if they throw their trash in the compactor or what.
And again, too, it'll, it's gonna be one machine sitting there versus the 3 bins that are there now that. Oftentimes, obviously our building's not on the corner like it was over there. But I can't tell you how many times we were out picking trash up and everything. It gets windy or people just, it's full, they haven't came to pick it up, people just throw it there. We've seen couches, beds, you name it over there. I think it's gonna be a lot tidier with the compactor there. I think it's a win-win for everybody myself. So that's the update on that.
Okay,
There's a couple things that'll kind of segue into your stuff, I think, Tim. Just a couple quick things. We were out flushing hydrants recently, so that's all taken care of. I didn't have only one complaint this year, and actually it wasn't even a complaint, it was a call that, are you flushing hydrants? My water, yep, and they knew what to do already and everything. We've been over it enough times. With all that rain and stuff and the roads, we had some roads that were in a really nasty shape. Too wet to grade, too wet to really do anything, we get down by the sawmill, we get some real nasty frost boils down there and around Brown. We've kind of been trying, we ran the grader a little bit, couldn't go very deep, it was just too soft, so we ran over the top a bit. We've been out trying to add some gravel, we haven't been able to get any yet, so we're kind of scraping the bottom of our stock, our leftover from last year. We try to always make sure we have some for this exact reason. So we've been doing that. As we all know, Northern Avenue is really bad. I had some complaints on that. It's well beyond me being able to patch anything down there. For the last couple of years, we've been trying to do a granite with some real fines in it, that mixed with a little bit of gravel and trying to do what we can down there. That road is so bad, the road and the curve, that there's not much that I can do. I can't patch, a road that's 500 feet long. I just, with a borrowed patch trailer from the county, I can't, but just, again, we're doing what we can do with what we have down there. Same over on Oscar. We've had that conversation the last couple of years. That just keeps getting worse and worse and peeling more and more. So I just want to make everyone aware of that and let everyone know that we're doing what we can with what we've got on those roads. So like I said, that was kind of gonna segue into, I'm assuming, what Tim's got going here. From the looks of it, the project priority list, or is that actually for the tax stuff?
Well, the project priority list is, this is an update for the preliminary engineering report. We've got the wastewater component and we've got the water component. On the wastewater side, we're already on what's called the project priority list. What that is it's, you put that into the funding agencies and then they give you a score, and then that puts you in a funding ranking system to see where you fit with all the other applicants in the state. So we already have that for the wastewater. We have to update that because that was submitted since 2009. And there's been a significant change in the projects from then until what we're looking at today. So we'll get that information updated. What you're looking at here, this is for the water component of it. So what this is this is a new application. The deadline was Friday. With Christina, we got that signed, we got that in. So what this will do is this will get us a score established for the ranking of the water component. And you can see, based on just the water, it's $10.5 million worth of improvements that are needed. So a lot to be undertaken. What we'll do at the next work session with the council is we'll provide you a summary of what the wastewater components are, what the water components are, what the totals are, and then what the process would look like, what we would be looking to do is try to get these projects either grant or land dollars or both, so that we can try to get these moving forward in 25 or 26. So. Any questions on that? And so, what a lot of this is replacing undersized water mains that are in town, replacing water mains that are over 50 years old in town. It's updating the water treatment facility. It's dealing with the water storage. Yeah, those are basically the big items, in the city of Blackduck. Any questions on that?
Would the expectation be that these would be partially funded or totally funded from this fund? Based on this application?
Well, you won't know that. The application will get you a ranking, and then what will happen is once you get that ranking, then we'll go to the funding agencies and then they'll try to determine, what sources are available, what those values are, how much would be grant, how much would be loan, and those types of things. It boils down to affordability of the community. So we would look at what are your current rates, how are those administered to your citizens in town, and how does that help sustain, the improvements that are done, and also allow for maintenance in the future to help, take care of the system.
And this all falls under that PER that we've been working on for 4 years now. That's where I was a little off with what you brought, Tim, but that's where I was kind of trying to segue. I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit, but what are we at roughly for a block right now for water, sewer, and bituminous? So we about 800,000
Cost
cost.
or value, asset
That's,
value.
that's replacement cost is right around, I think,
Yeah, I think you're
800,000.
probably not too far off. But
I know I'm pretty
yeah,
close.
you're probably not too far off.
The reason why I say that is the condition of some of our roads, we know that they're bad. And we're trying with this PER to get there. I've heard a lot of comments of, why doesn't the city just do this? Why doesn't the city just do that? It's not cheap at all to do any of this work. Not to mention the fact that these areas that are, the real bad areas, such as Northern down there, has old water lines under it, has clay tile sewer under it. The last thing that anybody that's in the know wants to do is put brand new bituminous down there so that we can just tear it up when the water breaks or the clay tile collapses. So my hopes here is just that everyone kind of understands that we are working on something.
It is the same-
It's years in progress. We're trying to get there, and we're getting closer every month at this point.
But we have to take a full inventory of the entire town in order to get there.
Right.
Correct.
And
that's
some of the
the
stuff,
process.
flat out, plain and simple, some of the stuff is going to get worse before it gets better. And we're gonna do what we can to hold it together and keep it halfway decent.
It is much like our Summit and Main project of, what was that, 18?
No, it started in 16, it ended in 18.
18?
Yep. These things take time and they take a lot of money. It's not a $15,000
At that time, the county was going to be redoing the roads, and the city decided that, none of us were even here at that time except for Christina. And decided that, to redo the water mains and sewer
It was the best time to do it. The
While
correct call was made.
while the road is already being redone.
Yes.
Mhm.
And yes, I understand.
Like I said, I just wanted to touch base. I know that, springtime, it's always kind of the same thing. We've got
And
a
that is-
lot of clay in these roads around here. A lot of them are they're really old roads, the way they were built. We get some nasty frost boils and we do what we can every year. And we're working towards fixing everything the right way. It's just gonna take time. So I just wanted to make sure that was out there for everybody.
You're on the record.
Perfect. Other than that, we've got Pine Tree Park opening up this week for this weekend's fishing opener. Everything is good out there, you know, we redid the showers and everything a couple years ago here. And new pressure tank and the softener and all that, trying to keep everything nice, so that's all good. We didn't have any leaks in the system this year, so that's a plus. Our ponds are sitting pretty nicely still. I could do without any rain for a while so that I can start discharging pretty soon. Other than that, we're gearing up to start mowing grass and doing all the fun summer stuff here, so. That's about all I got. Anybody got anything for me tonight? Perfect.
I'm good.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Mike.
If there's something we need to do with this PPL request,
Well, that was just more in there for informational purposes, to let you know, activity is happening with the engineering report, and this is, showing that, and next work session will get deeper into it, so.
I look forward to it. All right. Liquor store report, Shonda,
I don't have a whole bunch to report.
gambling was at 0.
Gambling was at 0. We pulled that off. Pulled that off. Gambling was at 0, yes. Nothing over, nothing under, that's always good news. We had a pretty successful April. It wasn't super busy as the weather was. Our first quarter was a little softer. Of course, our January, which is all of January and our first part of February, we had absolutely 0 ice fishermen. And we can notice that. I mean, definitely notice that. As far as money goes, the hope is that all those who did not get an opportunity to fish it hard water come out and brave it for soft water for the first couple weeks of the fishing season. That would certainly help us. Yeah, bingo went good
Yes, it did.
last time, so that was good. Pretty seamless. Yeah, so we're looking for fishing opener and Memorial Day, somewhere else. Oh, the scratch offs and the gummies, yes. Yeah, we got our lottery up and running. We're not selling hundreds of thousands of dollars of it yet, but it seems to be going well, and I know people are like enjoying it, getting a lottery ticket when they get their 6-pack or whatever, so we haven't sold a lot for online for like, your quick picks, your that kind of thing.
Powerball, those ones.
Powerball, those are a little slower, but yeah. Almost everybody's resigned to it. I mean, there was a little nervousness through the employees, like, well, this machine it's gonna spit out tickets and, but yeah, so far, it's so good. And our gummies are doing well. I have a meeting on Wednesday with our hometown hemp representative to start carrying their products. They came in and approached me and I'm like, yeah, we can certainly do that. The little gummies from in town here. We should, because Blackduck, I mean, right?
Agreed.
So, yeah, we're making some sales on it.
Well, I suppose you won't know until the meeting, but so don't worry about it.
Okay. Yeah, he's only available he's back in town on Wednesday, so we can meet up with him. Yeah, that's all I have. Do you guys have any questions?
Anything for Shonda? Thank you. I'm gonna assume that Misty's golfing.
She's still there. She's there on my way back into town. She got there when I was coming into town this morning, so it's been pretty busy. They opened Friday officially. They had a small soft open 2 weeks prior to that when it was still nice before it got cold and rained again. Her income statement is showing a good amount of memberships. The direct mailer that she worked on, and the online membership registration worked pretty good. It was definitely a good test. We had a few hiccups with some older members that, are
Yes.
a little
internet
shy. But we were able to help them here at City Hall, pick a check, however they wanted to do that, so that went well. But she's up and running. I think there was a school meet out there today too. I saw a couple of buses and,
attorney.
yeah, and she's up and running, so apologize that she wasn't here, but
No.
you guys have any questions for her? I
Get it.
most certainly take them for her.
Either yesterday, and that place was full.
It was a good day. No wind, good time to fit. Of course, I suppose if the wind's at your back, it's even better.
Also, we get a nice summer for rain when we need it and,
Right.
perfect stuff like that.
It didn't take much for the creek to come up.
No, well, that
It was
actually-
awful down and then all of a sudden those rains came in and it finally went back up.
It was quite, there's more water there than people thought we got.
Because even the walleyes weren't as far in as they usually are at this time prior to those rains. So,
All right. We have there's nothing else for the golf course. Move on to the library.
okay, so, yeah, so this is the proposal that Lisa put together. They offered a combination to review the library, look at options for adding on to the existing facility. Having to relocate, obviously, electrical and all of that, and then internally look at the footprint of the existing library and see where we could have more room for the private meeting room, the tech room, all of those key points that the library boards have been asking for when the council's been looking at relocating them. It's still a healthy dollar amount to do this study. I don't know what to say on to that, but John Conkey has a valid point. Yes, what's your return? Maybe Tim can talk to that. I can't at this point, but yeah. It's gonna be a little bit more than what I anticipated to review the library, but if they did the building separately, it would be higher.
Yeah, good return on being the kids going to the library during the summer. Staying on trouble.
Well, the return on your investment is knowing what the issues are with the facilities, and you need those resources done in order to apply for funding. So your other return on investment is a potential securing grant dollars or monies to assist with those efforts, and that would include the city contract.
Well, I think we need to get some type of official evaluation of the building. We need to do something. What I've been hearing for the last several years, it's not sufficient, it's not big enough. Space, so I think we need to get an official engineering study on that to see if it's feasible to build in. To me, there seems to be a lot of room behind the library between that and the lot alley. It's zoned commercial, I'm pretty sure, so they could go right up to the alley property, so. The things I noticed in the proposal are professional advice on the arrangement of the layout of the library and reutilizing existing space, stuff like that. But that's plus. There's a big ticket. I don't know what other councilors' opinions on that are. I know we've had discussion in the past where members have expressed or objected to the inspection fees we pay for other buildings. We inspected 2 other buildings locally for thousands of dollars, which shown they were unsuitable. So now we have another expenditure on the current building, so guess we just need to make sure everyone's comfortable with that.
Yeah, what our costs include is we have the architects, the mechanical, like engineers, the electrical engineers, the civil folks up here. Looking at the facility to assess everything, because you have to look at ADA compliance. Like, as soon as you touch a building, then you have to come in compliance with all of those. So, you know, there is a fair amount of expense in having all those folks here, because then they have to review the facility, then they have to put together a summary of, you know, here's the issues that we're seeing, here's what needs to be fixed, and here's a cost to do it. So, you know, there's a fair amount of time connected to going to these studies. So.
And for those of you that don't know what that building started at, and now it's a library. You know, we've been getting by with buildings that were not built for the use that they're having, you know? It was an office space for Northland Lumber.
No, that's correct.
That's what I was told.
No.
What do you know?
It was built as the library. We had to build it, well, you would know actually. It was, the library was in where the post office is now.
And then I got moved to there.
The city built it because we wanted to keep the post office in town.
I thought the post
Well,
office was
Miriam
part
will
of,
tell you a different story
I
about
thought the
that.
post office was the small building between that Blackduck Dental
It
took
was.
over between Wells Fargo
It
and,
was, yeah.
Okay.
That was half of that was the post office and the other half was the doctor's office.
okay,
So that became inadequate for the post office and they were gonna leave town. So Big A Auto Parts was acquired for them and that building was demolished. Which used to be Jersted's Cash Supply, a hardware store. And Mr. and Mrs. Jersted lived in the basement. So that building was demolished, the post office building, and we had to build a library across the street. So we had the library.
okay.
So the offices for Northwoods were in that building, but they were out of that building for years.
Got it.
The ladies on the library board will tell you they paid to have that building built, and then they were told they had to give it up to the post office and have that place across the street. That's what I was told.
The Big A Auto Parts, that's been there before me. Was there in 1962.
Yeah, that was.
I've heard that story many times about how they had that library built and post office, and they basically were evicted and moved across. the
They
street.
were evicted, yeah, because the post office bought the property.
For a while, the library was in here.
No,
Yeah. So, sounds like they've been tossed around a lot.
Yes. Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
believe, I heard
That was
say,
the Northwoods office. Or office, that's what I heard.
That's
Well-
interesting. Well, either way,
Either way.
Either way,
it
they've
needs-
outgrown it or it's just not
This,
laid
the
out right.
need for the needs have changed since they've moved into that building. The library's become a community space. It's not just a place to check out books and leave. It is a place where people go to get help. They go there to learn, and they go there to fill out their taxes. They go there to do a lot of different things they don't have money to do in their own home.
It's just changed overall.
They've become a community. There's a little food shelf in there. Yeah, there is. It's something that the community needs. It is very popular. It moves a lot of items. People are very generous and there's a need. So. And there is need for privacy, for students. Who need extra time to study. There's for music. There's also that community piece where, you know, there needs to be some private meetings happening for people. So it has changed and the building hasn't. I think that's what we're seeing. So, and by the looks of it, we've tried to find another location that would suit. There's a lot of things that go on from the school to the library, and it makes it safe for the kids to walk, okay? So moving it out a ways is not gonna be very, very useful for the kids at school. Especially when you have the movies, you have the crafts, all those different things that the library does for the community. So leaving it there, we haven't found any buildings that we are able to have, so doing something with this one is what we have, is an option.
And the proposal for 8,100 or 945.
And that's for both buildings, is that correct?
No.
One
No.
for her,
No, 8,100 is just for the library.
just for the library,
Yeah. You've already approved the feasibility study.
for this, yeah.
For the city hall,
Okay.
the last meeting. Which I believe was the 9450, or very close to it, right? Yeah. I have it in front of me. There's similar size buildings, footprints. Just, yeah. The cost analysis seems the same when I looked at that first.
And if we want to go forward with doing something with the library.
We have to have a study, we need to know what we're dealing with. It was kind of like these buildings next door, we needed to know what was there.
See, this is just council consideration this evening.
Right. Now, I have a question about going back to Kitschy. With a proposal perhaps to maybe use some of that.
Disperse those funds.
Yes, because now we're not buying a building. You know, and that's what the idea was to begin with.
True.
Now that idea did not pan out, so we've changed. How we're gonna look at this, so perhaps that could be something that is looked into. And I'll be glad to take that to the next meeting, or even get maybe a special meeting with the board. To see if they are interested in doing that.
I'd be game for that.
And by doing that, you mean,
So Kichigami has funds that were allocated for all the areas. We have not used the funds that were allocated to us. They need to meet a criteria, but this,
I think this
It
would
would.
qualify.
we need that approval, that they have to approve, we have to approve, and then they would release some of those funds to pay for this.
It's a potential qualifying.
Right, it'll take longer because we'll have to, we'll go through the meeting process, which we won't meet this month, we'll meet next month. So I'll need to get that to them for the agenda.
In the meantime, I could send the proposal from Woodsuck to Melissa Wheatley
That would be great.
and ask for her opinion if it is an eligible expense based on the policy that they derived. And maybe report at the work session.
And then for us, we're just looking for guidance because we had the city hall proposal approved. And in there, we said we would have that done within 30 days. But if we can coordinate it so we can do the library and the city hall and then one site visit, that's where the cost is coming from. So are you okay with us holding off on city hall until we get an answer on the library?
We're gonna have to, as my red L and my red G meetings with Beltrami Electric are going. We are not looking at a full application to USDA until after Q3 right now. They have to work with their board of directors as well as we have to work with the council, so And there's a lot of pre-paperwork that Beltrami Electric has to go through in order to get that going. So that study will help us fill in the holes for the city side of what it's gonna take to you know, keep this building going too. I think it's in the best interest just to hold off and
Ask,
See if
see
we-
what's going on,
see
get
if
all of our
Kitchi can
options
help.
on the table before we make any decision.
That one policy. Or you want to find out about
I can send it first. I can send an email to Melissa and I'll review it on that. And ask her opinion if she can see and if it needs board approval at that point, I can set and she'll already have it, then she can put it on your board, your next board meeting if it does.
and their Black Duck Library board as well.
Oh, they'll need to approve it too, that's right.
That's, I mean, do we want to do it once?
When is the library board meeting? That's
16?
of May.
We just had a special meeting towards June.
Okay.
June. Black Duck Library is June 18th. And then I'll double check it.
The only thing this board could do at this time comfortably is to wait to see if Kitchi can use funds for this. It will put everything off, but I'm not comfortable with this board
Well, then-
getting funds that aren't there for this.
Then at this time, then you want us to formally table it? So that it comes up at the next meeting and the next meeting,
I think it's in the best interest.
so we can
yeah.
take it off the table then at that time?
Yeah. Because the next time you would even be able to approve this wouldn't be until June.
And I'll make a motion to table the quick set proposal.
I'll second.
Do we have any discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. With that. On to the administrator's report, Christina.
Yeah, I'm not ready. Hang on. Let's-
Yeah, okay.
Okay. And I apologize. I've been communicating with Michelle Frenzel from the Trap Club, their representative.
I was-
Will not be in attendance tonight.
I was going to ask.
This will get tabled until next month.
Okay. Then we will. We will not act on it.
However, 7B, do want to discuss.
Okay,
So in the last meeting's report, I gave you guys just a brief overview of how this year's rental inspection statistics have been going. Since then, I've been working on reviewing our current rental ordinance, looking for some gaps, considering some of the feedback we've had with our new neighbors across the street and some other things that have been coming up. So I consulted the Bemidji's ordinance and the city of Cass Lake's ordinance to see what similarities are there, how they handle their rental ordinance and the rental licensing versus us to see if there's anything that we can improve on. The two things that I found most are one, our rental license application, excuse me, is not detailed enough as it pertains to the owner or the landlord that's doing that. So I've made some revisions that I put on the agenda that I'm gonna propose, obviously not until 2025. But in addition to that, with some feedback from our inspector, he is entertaining taking over the administrative piece of scheduling the rental inspections for our next round, which will not be now until 26, because we do them every 2 years. Can't tell you right now how much, if any, that will affect the price we charge to our landlords for those inspections. But one of the hurdles we've had this year is, although Paige has been extremely diligent on sending letters and reminders and phone calls, we've had several inspections where the tenants were not aware that their inspection was being done that date and time. For lack of a better communication by the landlord, notwithstanding the letters, that's been an obstacle. So we've had a couple of times where Andy's had to come back into town to do those inspections and the re-inspects. So he is entertaining taking that piece over, since he's in direct contact with the landlords during the inspection as it is, and communicates with them what the misses are, what need to get corrected, if they pass, what, or if they fail, why. That would take a huge piece off of the deputy clerk's responsibility, but we would still have the tracking mechanism here in City Hall. The other piece that I wanted,
You'd still get the information from him.
we'd
too.
still get the information from him, but the reason we took Andy on to begin with was at the time, back in 2018, 16, 18, we had the time, the deputy clerk's role had the time and the resources to do all the scheduling and all those calls. And it worked great. We've started to increase some of the rentals on the studio apartments, that's 26 unit, that got added. And the fourplex got added. And then there's a couple single family homes that have been added. So the number of rentals we have in town, the volume has increased. So the time and the administration time obviously has increased on that. So that's a separate piece. The other part is there is some language that's already in our ordinance that is not on the application that's come into question in the last few weeks. Occupancy rate, how many people can stay in a home, if it's a single family home, number of beds, is not reported to us. Our city doesn't give out occupancy certificates like a larger town does, but we've had a lot of new owners of apartment buildings that are from larger towns that are looking for those occupancy certificates. And we don't have that anywhere on our application. So I want to introduce that to the application as well. But the other part that I did not have. There it is in the section of the conduct on a licensing premises. We have the disorderly conduct defined, but we don't have the unlawful activities defined, and a lot of cities now have those listed. And it will help our police department as well, hold those people and those landlords accountable if it's more listed. So I want to introduce that language as well. And also entertain a fairly stiff penalty. The city of Cass Lake penalizes the landlord $700 for any violations of disorderly conduct. Well, ours is like $50. And I need,
Okay.
I'm gonna consult our city attorney. I haven't sent it in there, but I do believe that some of the problems that we've had And the last couple of years, we probably get held to the fire of the landlord more if our penalties were stiffer. Okay, one of the hot topics with our neighbor across the street subleasing to Red Lake Housing made me also call into question our existing ordinance. And we actually have language currently that says sublease in it, allowing it. What it does not have is the stringency that that landlord must notify the city who they're subleasing to. It doesn't say that they can't do it, it just doesn't, it says, it doesn't tell the landlord that they have to notify the city that they are. And I believe that that would help, having that increased communication. The other part is we have no requirement for a property manager to be within close proximity to the city of Blackduck in our ordinance. We have many people that own apartment buildings that live in the metro, that live in Duluth, live more than 50 miles away from here, and may not necessarily have any site manager, which is also an issue for tenants. And it's also an issue for the city. And I want to put that in there.
I'd agree.
So the language I've developed in here is a draft. I still want to send it down to the city attorney for a quick review before I ask for permission to move forward with changing the ordinance, because obviously what I have set in stone, what I have set in the ordinance right now is what it is. This will change through the year, so everybody's kind of grandfathered in, but we license every year, we just inspect every 2. I'm gonna take a drink of water, and you guys can ask the questions.
Oh, I'm on the fence a little bit about this 50-mile radius.
That's what Cass Lake has.
And that's great. I'm just on the fence because if we, like you said, if we have people that are in the cities, people who are in Duluth, that are the owners of these properties, these rental properties, and they do not have managers around. And now they're gonna have to hire someone local, which is great for us. But what would that do maybe to the people that are living in those buildings that may have that cost incurred in their rent?
Well, a lot of people make one of their people that are renting their apartment their property manager,
Okay.
maybe reducing their rent.
Most of the time, that's how.
Most of the times it's how it is. On the other side to that, Beltrami County in 22 passed a countywide ordinance against short-term rentals that requires a property manager within 60 miles. 60-minute
60
response
minute,
time
okay.
anywhere inside Beltrami County. And I think we would do ourselves a world of hurt if we didn't put some type of restriction in there.
Yeah, I would agree, that's pretty standard to name.
If I own a building, I want somebody managing. I agree with that. I
They
just
just could be-
wondered if it would cause a little bit of financial burden if there's nothing going on right now that we need to put the ordinance in, would it pass on to the people who are renting? And that's,
Well, slightly, but I mean, property managers are frugal, so what they're gonna do is take a tenant and give them a discount on the rent. Like your rent's $200 less if you respond to toilets flowing over at 2 o'clock in the morning, do a little maintenance,
Backing hallways.
hire a local electrician to come over if necessary.
And I can say that there are a good amount of the rentals in town that do have property managers or someone identified, or the owners close by, right, Chrissy?
Absolutely.
So it's not everyone, it's a few. There's a gentleman in Bemidji who has him and his family has a trust and they own like 5 single-family homes in town. And he's always Johnny on the spot when it comes to responding.
So, all the language that I should show here, the revisions and additions, that's something that you put together at this point, and we are gonna send it by the attorney.
Yes,
Yeah. And then we're obviously revising an existing ordinance.
that's correct.
Do you know when that existing ordinance was dated?
Ooh, good question. I do not have that date, Ron.
20 years ago, I mean.
I wanna say
Yeah.
maybe the last time, okay, so I edited it in 2014. Prior to that, I bet maybe 06.
Hmm.
Not a long time. My revision was for the timeline of the rental inspections. There was nothing in our ordinance stating that it would happen every year or every 3 or every 2. So we narrowed that down. And the reason for that was the Blackduck senior apartments, because they're partially subsidized, they have to have the state inspect their building too. You know, they have an elevator in there, so they have to do some of those legal parameters, and the property manager at the time was upset that the city didn't take the state's inspection for the city's inspection. They were upset they got double hit on the cost for an inspection. Understood, but sometimes that's the name of the game, right? But prior to that revision, I want to say it was 2006 that it was put in.
Well, I think it's good. I think we should tighten it up.
Okay.
I've had a renter tell me in the last 24 hours that he was moving out because of excess police activity in the building. So,
Sometimes things take care of themselves.
as well as dust mites apparently. So
Oh dear.
he was dissatisfied with the facility. So it's certainly something that's on the mind of renters. And just to clarify, not my renter. I don't rent it. A renter in the city has approached me and mentioned that, so.
Anything other than the 50-mile radius?
No, and you know,
Concerns?
it
I'm-
was just like I said, it was just on the fence thing, just about.
Sure.
Big fan of the off-street parking arrangements. I'm sure that was already in there, but
Oh, yes, it was. I mean, our zoning ordinance supports how much parking everything can have. The problem is you don't always. I mean, Public Works, myself, and the police are the only 3 that can put administrative fines on, and, you know, we're a little busy. But we do our best. So what I'm hearing is get the attorney stamp.
I think so.
The input, and maybe he has additional suggestions.
Agreed.
No.
Agreed.
the amount of the fine and you can.
That is a question for me, yeah. I thought that was quite high. I mean, I'm all for like making it hurt, so you don't forget, you know. But I do call into question if it's excessive and if it's affordable, upholdable by statute.
I think it's you know, let's say you put a $500 fine on it, you know, somebody has a domestic dispute, husband and wife are yelling at each other. It's probably something that if it's not something that's happened once in their 20-year marriage or something like that, is that reason to fine the? You know, I don't know.
Guess it depends on what kind of renters you have.
Very good. No, there's definitely some changes that should be made, you know, occupancy, stuff like that,
Yeah. I mean, we've been pretty,
we've been lucky. Let's
Well,
put it- you can put it that way. You've been
the
very
application,
fortunate.
what I was gonna say is the application that we put out, we already pretty much cookie cutter everything for the landlord. All they gotta do is sign it, send it back to us with payment, and there's not enough detailed information on here. Putting a property manager's signature, as soon as you sign something, you know you're responsible for it. Putting a property manager responsible for it and the landlord responsible for it, hopefully will hold them to those details of what they're saying.
Agreed. With that,
So I just have a couple of meetings, C through F to state the planning commission meets, next Wednesday at 2 p.m. We'll be conducting our light tour at that time. The 20th will be the council's work session. The 27th is Memorial Day. I hope I have that right. Let me say it was the 26th or something. No, it's 27th. It's Memorial Day, so City Hall is gonna be closed, including the TMD. And then June 10th is gonna be, excuse me, the next regular city council meeting. Anybody gonna be gone? Nick?
Nick has an announcement.
What's that? I might not make it. I might not make it.
To the June meeting or the work session? Okay. Thank you. Next time. Okay. 16, okay. I think we can continue that quick. And then that leads me to G.
Yes.
And I apologize, I didn't get this in the packet prior to tonight. Thought about it, had this done a couple weeks ago and totally forgot about it. I asked Derek from Arvig to visit our building. I have a couple of thoughts and concerns. We have a lot more money coming in and out of this building that I've had in the past. Granted, each day we make a deposit for the DMV. Friday we did almost $7,000 worth of business. Not all of it was cash or credit cards, but I have a heightened awareness of the fact that, you know, we have 2 exits. So I'm looking at security and trying to keep myself and Paige safe. I've bought a couple of dome mirrors, one in the back corner there and another one that I tried to get up on this wall, but it has since fallen and I gotta remount it. But Derek came in and did an assessment of the building. We discussed a couple of options. Right now, all we do is key lock both the front and back doors. And I'm trying to look at it and is a possibility of how much more traffic is gonna come in here. He gave me a couple of options of what we could do. You know, just like the golf course and the liquor store, exterior door, you know, sensors and a keypad in case of a break-in or an option. The first page is the install for just the 2, the door contacts with the keypad. It would be wireless, just like the golf course. And then, and that's with a 5-year monitoring contract. The second page is for just, I think, a 2 or 3-year contract, 3-year contract. And then I had him go even further into consideration of, you know, at some point, maybe a security camera. This, I think, is a high hope for me. But if any of the public has been in Deerwood's Bank and noticed their wonderful remodel, you may not necessarily know that the reason that remodel was done was because of an incident that happened a year ago in that building.
Yes.
And they have some really good surveillance in that building now that I don't think they had prior to. And I think their staff feels much safer. So this third page would be to put a 360 camera above where Mike is sitting, and another dome camera on that east wall and the installation for it. at this time, obviously, I don't have any budget money for this. But what I'm asking for is maybe the minimal on the doors in case there's a break-in. I mean, granted, I've been here 10 years. I've never had this building broken into. But
Now that you've mentioned it.
now that I mentioned it, I don't know if it'll ever happen. I don't know. I mean, obviously, this was a bank. Somebody would have to break the windows and break the doors to get in. And to know where we put our funds, our petty cash. So I'm asking for feedback and potentially an approval to at least at the minimum do the door securities to the building.
So what we're looking at here is 3 different quotes.
Yes,
Yes, yeah,
there are 3 different things.
from the bottom to the top. And actually, there's one more. I didn't even bring it because it requires installing a DVR and putting potential video surveillance on the outside of the building, on the doors.
So is the installation $195.95 and then a $30 a month?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
that's how that's.
That's
So the
correct.
next one, the same thing, it's the $395.95 installation with a,
3-year
for the
commitment.
3-year commitment for,
Mhm.
$30 a month.
Yes,
When you say keypad on the door, are you referring to an actual keypad on the door to get in?
no, it'll be just like the golf courses keypad,
So an arming keypad.
correct. Yeah. We can, because right now we use our back door as our main entrance when the city hall is completely locked. That's our entrance to come in first before we open our front door. We can put that keypad back there by the back office. So we can disarm it right away.
What's your? I've only been downstairs once. Are there any windows down?
No,
There's no doors down there, so
No.
there's nothing there.
no, there used to be a coal chute underneath my office, but it's since all filled in with cement.
So these are the only,
These are the only 2 doors
the 2 doors. And
and then the windows, yeah.
The first 2 pretty much the same, except the 3 and a 5-year commitment.
Yes. Mhm.
Well, I think we should, not do anything overly extensive until we have the WITSET report in this building. I don't spend thousands and thousands to find if there's a major problem. Where, so,
Either way, whether there's problems or not, I think the city hall is gonna stay in this building.
but I hope that's the case, you know. WITSET report might show something that's might change how we do this. I don't know. It's hard to justify the 3,000 expense now. I think.
Oh, for sure, the 5-year commitment, cheapest.
So again, just to clarify, the first 2 pages, the difference is just the commitment, right?
That is correct, Ron.
Contract.
Yes,
I would even be in favor of, if we have to go forward, if we decide we want to go forward paying the higher rate than having a 3-year term. Will we get the WITSET report on? Building.
Do you think they're gonna find something that we have to move immediately?
We might have some type of remodel and there might be a different security system. What we suggested, we might want to go to bids for something. Do something
What are you looking for the council this evening, Christina?
I'd love if I could get either the 3 or the 5 year approved tonight. That's what I would really like to see.
I started making motion then, or
Yeah, and just to clarify though, the 3-year commitment is $200 expense up front, and the 5-year.
Other way around.
Yeah. 3-year commitment's $400.
That is correct.
And if I was doing this in my home, I would pay the higher upfront cost just to avoid being locked into something that I want to change or get a different price on. Provider, future years.
yeah, because your monitoring is the same.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's a couple $100 now and I'm free of the contracts. That's my opinion. I'll approve of the majority of the council.
If you want to make a motion on that,
I think you're right, we can get a couple $100 just with the last commitment, and we save your money within the next 2 years anyway. I move to approve the second quote at $395 for the 3-year commitment, at $30 a month.
I have a motion, do we have a second? Don? Any further discussion on this?
All surprised we haven't had something like this sooner,
Why we don't have security?
Yeah.
Yeah.
especially with the amount of cash that's coming in now at the DMV.
Well,
Well,
we have that door over there looks pretty impressive. I have some using it. And I think there's another one downstairs.
Well, if you, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna go there. We're kind of sitting ducks as it is, because there's only 2 exits. Luckily, we can see for the most part, anybody coming.
Mm.
But, I mean, if I'm in my office, there's no way I'm gonna get out. If we had an active shooter incident in here, that's the only place we could go is in the safe. If we can make it there.
You know, I was actually asked about times, that's for another.
I know, that's a whole nother conversation.
But, we do have a motion sitting on the table.
You had a second?
Yep, all those in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None, motion carries. Off and running to number 8.
Anybody got anything to report?
I missed the chamber ditch cleanup.
I heard it was tonight instead of
Yeah,
our typical Wednesday.
yeah.
I hope they had enough people. At least it was a good weather day. You were in the rain.
Wasn't raining, hope everything went well. I was not in attendance at the fireman's fish fry, but
It was good.
I heard it was, fairly successful. And I of course appreciate everything the fire department. Our guys do.
It was a good turnout, I think. There was the line from,
Oh, wait.
Yeah, I can imagine.
so, and it went relatively quick. Who was going? We have a citywide garage sale coming out.
Yep, that's this weekend.
Yes, and if you are looking to do something, you just need to get a hold of Tara at Choice Therapy. And they'll get you on their map. I know we moved down to community events, the ditch cleanup on there, our citywide cleanup day is May 18th, if anyone wants to register for that. And have some things they can't make it to the transfer station, picked up on their side of their house, we can do that on that Saturday, starting at 8.
you have plenty of volunteers for that, or always looking for more.
We talked about it at a work session. I think we've
I
got
know you know.
3. Dawn volunteered. I'm sure we can always use more help. Right now I have 5 locations to pick up on the list, but it's still early.
So how much are we talking?
I
about on some
don't
of
know
these?
yet, Max.
That's the thing I don't,
Yeah, I mean, we've, Paige and I kind of
Mike.
feel people out. What do you got? How much? Right now, it doesn't sound like a lot, but we have that little disclaimer that we reserve the right not to. We make sure people know we're not picking up your household garbage.
We can pull the big trailer, right?
Huh?
The trailer.
I'm busy that day. Not around,
The deadline
Is the
for,
trailer around though?
should be.
the deadline for signing up is that Wednesday. So that would be the same day
Oh,
as
so-
the planning commission, right, so the 15th. That way, if we really need to wrestle in a lot of people, we can.
Have we contacted the transfer station to make sure that there's, I've got to make a run out there. I can do that.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
So that we'll,
Give them a heads up.
yep, give them a heads up. Get the discounted rate. Does anybody have anything else? With that,
Motion to adjourn.
all in favor?
I-
We stand adjourned. 7:39. Tim, I'm never talking to you before a meeting.